On Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, at 5 p.m., my wife Julia pulled into our driveway as promised. When she got out of the car, she had a big smile on her face, as if she was happy to see me. She still looked good after 23 years of marriage, working full-time and raising our daughter with me. She could still turn the heads of much younger men as she walked by. She ran up to me on the porch and gave me a hug. She tried to kiss me on the lips, but I turned my head away and she kissed my cheek instead. I think that move may have been what made her think I wasn't as excited to see her as she was to see me. "What's the matter, Barry?" she asked. "You should be happy that I'm here because it means that after my absence I realize even more than before that you're the man I want to spend the rest of my life with." I laughed, but it was insincere, and she knew it. I wasn't going to say anything yet. And finally the silence proved unbearable for her, for along with the silence in the air of the cold February day, there was a noticeable chill in my silence. "Barry, what's wrong? I'm here, aren't I? I know I brought our tentative separation down on you rather abruptly, but I really felt I needed to get away and think seriously about us. Maybe it was the hormones affecting me, but more than anything, these last 3 weeks have shown me what an amazing man, husband, and father you are. At any rate, Barry, these past 3 weeks have strengthened my resolve to devote myself to you for the rest of our lives." I still said nothing, and about that time she noticed 2 suitcases standing on the porch next to the door. Puzzled, she looked at me again and asked, "What are they doing here? Barry, what's going on?" At this point, I realized it was time for me to speak up. Calmly, I said, "Well, Julia, now that you're back from your trial separation, it's time for me to start my trial separation." From the look on her face, I could tell this was not what she expected me to say. "Your trial separation?" she exclaimed. "Why do you need a trial separation?" I laughed again and said loudly, "Who says I need a trial separation? I don't, just like you didn't need a trial separation either." But it was obviously what you wanted, and given how much fun you had at your split, I think I want to try my own. I can't express to you how much I'm looking forward to it with what anticipation. The beautiful blonde sales rep I met at last week's conference in Atlanta that first week you were gone seems interested in trying to sell me some more product, and I'm hoping she will use very aggressive tactics to convince me. It's amazing how these corporations know how to hire salespeople that make you want to spend time with them. And there are a couple other women in the office who think and hope they might be interested in me. The color peeled off her face, and for a minute I thought she was about to pass out. The realization of what I was about to do must have clouded her mind because she opened her mouth to speak, but all that came out was, "But, Barry." I reached out and stroked her pale cheek. "Don't worry, darling, I haven't done anything with them yet, although we've enjoyed dinner a couple of times and probably spent a few evenings together dancing in the hotel club. I'm sure they could sense my interest in them. But since your separation meant you were going to try different men, I can't tell you how much and how eagerly I look forward to my separation." "But Barry, what are you talking about? I told you I went away for 3 weeks for a little soul-searching." I put my finger to her lips and interrupted her. "Now, Julia, don't say anything else because I don't want you to lie to me. I know you at least waited until my plane was off the ground Sunday afternoon to start sampling. I know that you spent the night in a stranger's hotel room that Sunday night and then again the next night, and that on Thursday you found another stranger to do the same thing. After that, I called off the private investigator I had hired to follow you. He was willing to work all 3 weeks if necessary, but after those first 3 nights you spent in strangers' hotel rooms, I called him off because I no longer needed to know about what you did next." In a frightened voice, Julia asked, "Were you following me?" I sighed and said, "Of course I did. Did you really think I was going to buy this story about how you were going to think about us and find yourself? I don't know why you decided you needed something or someone else, and frankly, I don't care anymore. I just know you were telling a very rotten story, and I wasn't going to rely on you telling me the truth when you dragged your cheating ass back here." It was evident that by this time the big picture was beginning to become clearer to Julia. She couldn't deny that she had spent those 3 nights in other men's rooms, and while I had no audio or video evidence that she was cheating, I was pretty sure they weren't reading Bible verses to each other on the nightstand. She also couldn't stop me because I wasn't doing anything that she hadn't already done, and although it sounded petty at that moment, I didn't care. All she could say was, "Barry, can we at least talk about this?" I shook my head negatively. "Like you talked to me about what you wanted to do 3 weeks ago? Your decision was made and you just put me on notice. And now my decision has been made too. Honestly, I want to thank you for suggesting a trial separation because after the rules you made for yours, I can hardly wait to be with another woman. And I have you to thank for that." She sat down on the porch steps, covering her face with her hands. She started sobbing, and then it turned into sobbing, but maybe she finally realized how badly she'd fucked up. So there were no more words, just tears and the pathetic figure of a sad and confused woman who knew her husband was going to do what she had done, except that he was openly admitting it while she was trying to hide her intentions. I picked up my suitcases and carried them to my car, putting them in the trunk. Before opening the door, I called out to her one more time. "Don't worry, honey. In exactly 3 weeks, I'll be back, right at 5 p.m., just like you, and then we can talk." She looked up at me, and our eyes met as I smiled and said one more thing. "Maybe